Trump sending nuclear-powered warship, submarine, 3 Navy destroyers, 3 amphibious warships into the Southern Caribbean waters. And he says it is for counter-narcotics. It's a counter-narcotics operation. Now, this is interesting because this is happening while we are talking about who won the debate. And it's social issues. Last night was social issues. This question did not come up in the debate, which is interesting because this has implications for Jamaica if you're going to look at it within the context that America is giving of a counter-narcotics operation. They've got warplanes, warships, 4,500 U.S. troops are now in the Southern Caribbean waters. 3 Navy destroyers, 3 amphibious warships, nuclear-powered submarine off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean, South Caribbean seas. This is being led by Southcom, and we've said it many, many times in this space, that the Caribbean waters is militarized under Southcom. We talk about Southcom and AFRICOM. These are warmongers. And so as Africa is militarized by AFRICOM, aid is militarized, assistance militarized, everything, food, it don't matter. Africa is militarized by AFRICOM. Done so, more so under Barack Obama, and intensified under Joe Biden, and is now doubling down, intensified under Trump. Now we have a similar situation in the Caribbean with Southcom, which has militarized the Caribbean waters. We have had many discussions on this, the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, how the Caribbean waters are being militarized. The fact that if guns are coming into the Caribbean, then this is what they want. If weapons are coming into the Caribbean, this is what they want. If narcotics and narco-trafficking and international organized crime is happening in the Caribbean waters, this is what they want. And they've got people on the ground here in Jamaica and in every Caribbean country working with them toward that end. It is what it is, and we're dealing with the isness of things. So what is this reason that we have from Trump about, counter-narcotics, a counter-narcotics operation in Caribbean waters? We're going to be talking about that later on this morning. But it makes sense for us to stop and look at this closely, because this is happening in the South Caribbean waters. This is off the coast of Trinidad. Just please look at your maps. Take out your globe, take out your atlas, or Google it, or do any or AI it, open AI, chat GPT. Look at the South Caribbean seas and spend some time looking at the amount of warfare, war power, artilleries, air and sea and land that the United States has sent into the Southern Caribbean seas. All those Leeward Islands, are buckling under that. Guyana has come out already to say that they are in total agreement with this. Of course, we understand why. Because all of this is about oil, This is about oil, and it's about regime change. It has nothing to do with transnational organized crime. It has nothing to do with narcotics. But because we have had many conversations here with Darius Figueroa, reminding us that the whole methodology of narcotics trafficking and transnational organized crime, that has changed. And it's now high-tech. But what are the implications to Jamaica? What is Jamaica saying about what's happening in the Southern Caribbean seas? What is Barbados saying? What are the other countries saying? Anyway, we're going to be talking about that later, and how This is Panama again, but even more so, this is warfare. So what is happening in Venezuela? Nicolas Maduro has mobilized 4.5 million ground troops. Now, when you think that Jamaica is a country with 3 million, you can begin to put it in context. So Maduro's response is to mobilize 4.5 million boots on the ground. And he says this is in preparation for anything that the United States has. Of course, we hear the chatter coming out of the U.S. already that there's going to be bombing from the sky. This is in the southern Caribbean waters, and this is why we're paying close attention to that. Why I would have thought that would have had some questions, because it's a social issues, right, regarding transnational organized crime, which is getting out of hand, regarding crime and violence. Crime and violence are social issues. Social issues. Let us not beat around the bush on that. So, but I don't know. Did I fall asleep in the debate? I have been going over. I don't think I fell asleep. So anyway. Okay. You know, I really do have to say some things about the debate last night. Right, the so-called national election debate. It was a stage play. All the world's a stage. It was a stage play. It was performative. It was hollow. And it was dangerously detached from the realities of the Jamaican people. So I don't have any time to walk away from the debate talking about who won. Because this is not a high school debate. Jamaica is not a high school. This is not a classroom debate. This is our lives we're talking about. This is whether we live or die. So I really don't have any time to get involved in the discussion about who won or who lost. And listen, as I said before, as a journalist, I can do that, and I suppose I'll do that sometime in the morning to say, well, at the end of the day, if you're looking at this through the lens of judging this as a high school or of university debate, your strongest debater was Matthew Samuda. Next one was Jamie Crawford, and at the end of the day, the PNP won that debate. The JLP team was very weak, and although Matthew Samuda was very, very strong, so we can have that we can have that discussion. This is my opinion. I watched it. Hey, it's not a high school debate. It's not a university debate. What about the livelihoods? What about the life of the Jamaican people? This is about whether we live or die. And these are liars. And when I say liars, I mean the party rhetoric. It's just all lies that's spewing from that stage. It's a party rhetoric. They have said this before. Let me take a break and come back, because I have so much to say that I keep skirting around it, but I'm going to just double down and talk about it. Give me a break. Had its first national debate, and well, as I said earlier, well produced and very clinical, very staged, very stilted, so that I can't say much about it apart from to say that this is what it presented itself as, a very stilted, very clinical, very staged, a stage play kind of a situation, but production very, very good. Now, one of the things that crime and violence, these are social issues, wrong or right. I know we can see them in many ways, political, economic, all of these ways, but considering that Jamaica has the second highest murder rate in the entire world, that it is one of the most top five. It's in the top 5 most violent countries in the entire world, with just 3 million people. That it doesn't matter which debate you're on, unless the journalists were censored, and unless the person doing the social media was also censored, unless there was serious censorship to hold the crime and violence questions until the leadership debate. But it doesn't, to me, that would be a slap in the face to the Jamaican people. this would be avoiding Jamaica's reality, the lived experience of the vast majority of the Jamaican people, the masses of the Jamaican people. Because if crime and violence are the second highest globally in the world, these are not peripheral to Jamaican daily life. You know, this is central to Jamaica's daily life. And I really don't think that it was dealt with at the debate last night. You know, it should have been the central question. Of course, the time spent on health-related issues was a good time. That question came up, and that was good, that we're looking at health. That was also central to Jamaicans, the population, the masses of Jamaican people's daily life. But one of the debaters, and I think it might have been from the PNP side, might have been, I'm not quite sure who, so let me not say, but the person said the Minister of Health is not here, and health is a social issue. That person was correct. So the backing and forthing and the fighting over health, and then at the end of the day, nothing came out of that, was a waste of time. And this is why I say it was pretty performative. All the world's a stage, and they were playing last night. Main actors and female lead and male lead and so on and so forth. Supporting actors and so on. So for me, it was a failure of accountability, that the greatest social issue, challenge on the island right now is crime and violence. And these politicians on the stage, they were spared from addressing their policies, the failures, and we didn't hear about proposed solutions. And so for me, this undermines the very purpose of debates. Because my understanding of what political debates should be is to test leadership. It is to demand accountability. And it is to allow the masses of the people to compare and contrast the visions, the manifesto, if you will. One manifesto not even come out yet. So then take off the idiot. Them take off the idiot around here. So I don't know why, and I suppose in the next debate we'll hear some, prevarication again. The question might come up. Let me just underscore this point. I don't know if there was some censorship on whether or not that question of crime and violence was not to be asked in the social issue, but to go over this. I don't know. It just looked very, very, very suspect to me. For me, we talk about giving voice to victims and to survivors. And with a country that is going through so much, where the rate of crime and violence, we have countless victims. We have families who are traumatized. We have communities that are currently living under fear. And to exclude these issues, how come? Was it politically inconvenient? I don't know. Or maybe there was a misdiagnosis of what social issues are. Because if you leave out crime and violence out of a debate on social issues, it means that you would be defining social issues very narrowly, or you're misdiagnosing what those are. Because crime and violence not abstract and not secondary, It is like for us, because we are the second most murderous country in the world, and because we're the top 5 most violent country in the world. But I don't know. We got structural violence. When they went on and on and on about the health and fighting each other over what's happening in health, we the people lost. Just listen to what they were saying about the health sector. and know that we were the losers. We lost big time on that question. Because health itself and the debacle that's happening within the health sector here in Jamaica is structural violence. When you go to the hospital, you're subjected to structural and systemic violence. The health system in Jamaica is weaponized and is structurally violent. It is systemic violence against the Jamaican people. And yet, listen to them last night. Who do they care about? What was this about? Their ego? And then we'll come out on the backside of it talking about who won the debate and who never win the debate. So we can't participate in this narrative now about who won and who was a sharper one and who had the best one-liners and who did nervous and all of them foolishness there. What was the purpose of this debate? And this is why these political debates are just sham, theater, performative. And we've been watching these election debates over time here in Jamaica, you know. They have become more and more scripted performances. They're staged for TV. And how you feel now? You feel more American? Because you're staged this like an American debate. So you know American, you're consuming culture. And then what? And then what? And the media has a responsibility, you know. The media has a responsibility greater than anywhere else right now. That when you get the politicians in a space, it can't be this scripted where the journalists who are asking the questions, you can tell that it's scripted for them. And the whole thing is so performative, so clinical. What is that? It's a waste of time if you ask me. And not only that, it's also a waste of money. Because when you come out on the other side of this, if you avoid the hard questions about crime and inequality and corruption, and I don't know, I hear some questions on the environment, and that was another cascas, if you will. This one blaming that one, but both of them have been running this country from 1962. If not one, it's the other. So here we are in 2025. And journalism owes us a bit more. And I'm not talking the individual presenters who ask questions. They did very well. Natalie Campbell did very well. The brother from TVJ did very well. The sister who hosted it did very well, Janella Precious. What I'm talking about is a greater responsibility of journalism to not make this a performance so performative. The Jamaica Debates Commission need to disband itself. Because this is a waste of time, and it's waste of people's time. You set up all night watching this thing. You know, you could have gone to bed from 8:30. You set up until 9 and it done until 10, and then you're reading up on all of the comments afterwards and so on. It is just a waste of time. These politicians, do you see them in your community? Because at the end of this debate, we must ask ourselves, are we seeing these politicians in our communities? Are they how many of them took the salary increase? And what are they saying about teachers' salary? What are they saying? What are they doing about the health sector? Not what they're saying. Because they have been saying what they said last night and what they've been saying for years, from 1962 till now. It's them same one, and here we are. It's a PNP and the JLP from 1962 until now, and yet here we are. And what are they debating about? If you give me 5 more years, I will do this. Do what? Do what? That which you had 10 years to do and 18 years to do and you did not do? And if you give me 5 years again, I will do that. Do what? You were in for 18 years at one point. Why didn't you do? And you said the very same things, and you're saying it again. The emperor is naked, and here we are as a people talking about who won the debate. What kind of foolishness is that? Who won the debate? Is that the important thing? Is that the best takeaway from that debacle that took place on the stage last night? Who won? They addressed the beach issue, and both of them talking out of two sides of their mouths. Because the PNP at one point is talking about how this is a human right and so on, but at the same time talking about we're going to talk with the tourism interest. Talk with tourism interest about what? Since the people's interest becomes secondary to tourism interest, this is platitudinous peroration. And the JLP, Matthew Samuda, talking about Harmony Cove and Dump Up Beach. But what about all the beaches across Jamaica? Marmy Bay Beach, I know that came up on the PNP side. And I hear the PNP claiming Winifred Beach. We had to fight the PNP tooth and nail to allow Winifred Beach to remain with the people, and even though and now Winifred Beach is being threatened. They are both in the same barrel when it comes to access to beaches. None of them addressed the colonial document that is determining how or whether Jamaican people have access to beaches here. The very same document from colonial times, from slavery till now, into colonial times, that they have been using. None of them address that. Both of them stayed very far from that, talking about Beach Access Act and all kinds of foolishness. If the Beach Access Act is coming from that very same document, then that is foolishness. So they are, like as I said, it's platitudinous peroration. And we're coming out this morning talking about who won the debate. This is not about if they won, we lost. That's the bottom line. If they won, we lost. And both of them have come out swinging this morning that they won the debate last night. It was a sham. It was performative. It was hollow. It was without substance. And I'm going to stop talking before I say what I shouldn't say. But I don't know about any more debate. And I think we should scrap this foolishness. They have done what they have always done, and they're about to do what they have always done. And we're listening to them. So now we believe them. And they can't even articulate what it is that they're about to do or will do. This is madness. This is madness. Madness at the highest level. Election is September 3. What are we voting for? What are we voting for? What are we voting for? Listen to what happened on the stage last night. You coming away talking about who nervous, who no nervous, who spin this, who spin, who win the debate, who was the best debater. This is not high school. This is a nation. Are we building a nation or are we building a hut? Oh. We are at a time when we can't afford to continue to accept the lies from politicians. And I do hope that the Jamaican people who were listening to that debate last night understand the times that we're in. This is no time to be pussyfooting around. This is no time to be joking. These are serious times. And if we don't understand where we are, remember, we're heading into a whole, this is a fourth industrial revolution. This is not like before. This is a whole new stage. We're not prepared for it. We're not ready for it. And we sit down last night and watch a kind of a clownish performance. And we come out of it beating with chest, reposting flyers from both sides, congratulating ourselves, tearing down one and lifting up the other and talking about who win like this is a high school. Like this is not a nation that is going to waste. 3 warships into the Caribbean, into the southern Caribbean waters of the coast of Venezuela. And Donald Trump has said that the aim is to combat transnational drug trafficking operations linked to Venezuelan authorities. The deployment includes the USS San Antonio, USS Iwo Jima, USS Fort Lauderdale, carrying approximately 4,500 U.S. service members, including 2,200 Marines. These warships are part of a broader strategy, according to Donald Trump, to address threats posed by narco-terrorist organizations operating in the region. In response, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced the activation of a special plan involving over 4.5 million militia members to ensure national coverage and defend against perceived U.S. threats. The United States has accused Maduro of leading the Cartel de los Solos, and he's also talked about Trenderega, a cocaine trafficking organization, and has designated it as a global terrorist entity. The U.S. has also doubled a reward that it has on the head of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. It is now $50 million US. That's the price, the bounty that Donald Trump has placed on the head of Nicolas Maduro. The military escalation has heightened tensions between Venezuela and the United States, with both sides preparing for potential confrontations. The U.S. maintains that its actions are necessary to protect national security and combat drug trafficking, while Venezuela views these measures as violations of its sovereignty. So we're going to be talking about that with Dr. Darius Figueroa, who's coming on in a few minutes, right? And then later on, we're going to be talking to Lloyd Diagolo, because Lloyd Diagolo, as a human rights activist and a political commentator, also a social activist, he's been writing extensively and talking about the need to boycott. He's calling for a boycott of the elections. He's a founder of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, PACM, where he stood out as a defender of the people who were brutally attacked in Tivoli Gardens by the security forces in 2010. And he has been for several years campaigning against police extrajudicial killings in Jamaica, as I said before, a human rights activist. He's a journalist, having worked at 3 radio stations in Jamaica and at WBAI Radio in New York, where he started his radio experience. And he has campaigned against state corruption on behalf of Nzinga King, you'll remember that, whose locks were cut while in police lockup. He's going to join me later on this morning as we look quickly at the debate, but to go to the call that he's making for the boycott and why he's making that call. So that's later on this morning. We take a break, and we come on the other side of the break. We'll be talking about the U.S. deployment with my very special guest, Dr. Darius Figueroa, social researcher and author, no stranger to the space, an expert in transnational organized crime and narco-trafficking issues. And he's joining us regarding this issue that we've been talking about all morning, the U.S. deployment of warships to the Caribbean, and all of the lies around that, the misdirection and the misinformation around that. Dr. Darius Figueroa is on the line. Dr. Figueroa, thank you so much. Good morning once again for joining us on the Africa Forum.
Morning and greetings, my sister.
So good to have you, my brother. So we've been talking about this, so our listeners know very well what's happening. 3 Navy destroyers, 3 amphibious warships, nuclear-powered ship, 4,500 soldiers, 2,200 Marines of those being sent into the southern Caribbean seas in an ostensible U.S. narcotics operation, which a Trump administration is saying that it is to stem organized crime, if you will, drug trafficking. Given this number that we're seeing here, this U.S. warship deployment in the Southern Caribbean waters, how, from your perspective as an expert in these issues, we've been talking to you for a while on these issues, how credible is the official narrative that this operation is solely focused on dismantling narco-trafficking networks as opposed to being a tool to apply pressure for regime change within the context of oil?
It is essentially a move for regime change, because in the reality of the illicit trades of the Caribbean, since the second decade of the 21st century, the cocaine trade into America has collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
The cocaine trade that is going on in the Caribbean is transiting the Caribbean to Europe. So what is happening, the volume of kilo bricks that were flown out of Venezuela into Central America and Mexico and then across the border into America has precipitously collapsed. In fact, the entire cocaine trade...
I think we lost Dr. Figueroa. I think we lost you there. Can we get him back on? Can we get him back online, please? Just lost Dr. Figueroa. It's interesting because, as you know, he's an expert in transnational organized crime and narco trafficking. He's been on this program over the last 6 months, at least once per month or so. And we've been looking at transnational organized crime. He's talked us through the changes and the collapse that he's talking about there, Pax Mexicana, and the conflict between the Colombians and Pax Mexicana, and talking about how the whole thing has changed in terms of the methodologies, but also the new narco trafficking, what that looks like and how it is being done. So like many of us who's been looking at this thing closely, we're seeing, and he's saying to us that this is a tool for regime change. And we want to broaden that out a bit because for my own thinking, this seems to be connected to Guyana's oil in Essequibo. And it might seem like a leap, but it's not, because Guyana and Venezuela are currently in a very tense standoff regarding Essequibo. Of course, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. It is Venezuela, you know. But there's a difference between, say, Venezuela's oil and Saudi Arabia's oil. And there is a need for Guyana's oil. So there is that issue, and we can talk about it another time. I'm standing by to see if we'll get Dr. Figueroa back online. Can we? All right, let me go check myself, and so let me do this. Okay, Uncle Ernie, we'll do this and come back.
Kabu?
Yes, I'm so sorry that we lost you just now, but you're back online. So great to have you back. Not sure what happened.
No, not Dr. Ferreira.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is not Dr. Figueroa, and you're on air. You're on air, so please come and let me know what's happening. All right, so we're trying to get Dr. Figueroa online, social researcher and author. The books and articles he published are instances of the utilization of this liberationary methodology, which deconstructs hegemonic discourse to expose its discursive constructs vitally necessary to disrupting the power. And his first book, writing, stretched from 2002 to 2014, where he concentrated on the illicit trades of the Caribbean, with 3 books in 2004, 2006, and 2012. And a lot about him, but I am not sure what's happening on the other side. So I really do have to go and look into that myself, right? To get Dr. Figueroa back online. And let's see. Miami Herald has an interesting story. All right, I think we have him online now, so let me go to the phone lines. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. You're back. I'm not sure what happened, but suffice to say, we're very happy that you're back online, and then we had difficulty getting you back.
Yes, my pleasure.
Okay. So you were explaining to us that the narco trafficking, the way we know it, that whole methodology that whole system has collapsed, so that the reason or the excuse that Donald Trump and the United States are giving regarding this incursion into the Southern Caribbean waters, this is based mainly on the U.S.'s need for regime change.
Yes.
So that...
Because,
yes, go ahead.
Venezuela presents no discernible, quantifiable drug threat to America today because the cocaine market in America has collapsed. And there is no synthetic drug production and smuggling out of Latin America through the Caribbean or anywhere else to America that impacts the supply side of the American synthetic drug market. They have a synthetic drug market problem of grave impact.
So they've named also in the report that he put out, Donald Trump, the gangs like Trinidad and Solis, I think is the name of the other one, which are narco trafficking, and they've now named these as terrorist organizations, and they say that they're operating transnational organized crime out of Venezuela and within the southern Caribbean seas.
Trinidad was invented by the Colombian Dons. And Trinidad never had a foothold in Venezuela. In fact, Trinidad had to flee Venezuela. And they ended up being smuggled into America during the time of the Biden administration by the same very same Colombian Dons. Because they were using Trinidad in the United States to wage war, Pax Mexicana in the United States, and they lost miserably. Mm-hmm. So Trinidad is now...
I'm not sure why this keeps happening, but I think we've lost him again. Let me take a break. We've lost Dr. Figuera. Can we try and get him back? As long as he's patient with us, we'll keep this going. Early 1990s, when we were using the analog phones and, calling Nigeria and so on, and they just kept disconnecting. And then later on in the early 2000s or late 90s, when, those massive mobile phones, cellular phones we used to call them, and they kept disconnecting like that. But this is weird. I haven't had this happening in forever. In this new age of the convergence of digital technologies. Okay. That the Miami Herald has published a story, it was yesterday, where they're making the comparison between what's happening now with the massive deployment of warships into the Southern Caribbean waters. They're making that comparison to the mid-1989s, or the mid-December 1989, when President H.W. Bush, ordered that military invasion of Panama. During the operation, and that operation was called Operation Just Cause, the U.S. troops not only used force, but blasted rock music, including songs by the band Guns N' Roses, as Noriega took sanctuary in the Vatican Embassy in Panama City. And Noriega surrendered on January 3, 1990, and was whisked away to Miami, where he later stood trial and was convicted, and he spent about 20 years in prison. So the Miami Herald is talking to experts and lawyers and so on around this new development with this massive deployment of military warships and submarines and nuclear-powered submarines going, and 4,500 military armed soldiers, 2,200 Navy into the Southern Caribbean water. This is right off Trinidad and Tobago. This has serious implications for us. This is like on the doorstep of Trinidad and Tobago. And if you look, I think it's left just down there, sir, you're looking at Jamaica. We're a little bit outside of the Southern Caribbean waters, but you're talking about the Caribbean waters, and you're talking about Southcombe. So I want to ask a question that I've been asked last night. Is Jamaica involved in any way in the military incursion in support of the United States, or working with the United States in the Southern Caribbean waters and incursion on Venezuela? Has the Jamaican government said anything? Has anybody said anything on the campaign trail? PNP, JLP, anybody said anything about what's happening in the Caribbean waters? So the Miami Herald continues. The two South Florida lawyers that I'm reading now, one who charged Noriega and another who defended him, say it may look like President Donald Trump has ripped a page out of the Panama playbook as U.S. naval forces veered toward Venezuela. But one of them, Richard Georgie and John May, also point out that there are similarities, but there are also differences between then and now. And they say it is unlikely that Donald Trump would use U.S. troops in warfare around the globe, because he has an aversion of committing U.S. troops in warfare, that he would not necessarily risk invading a country the size of Venezuela. Well, him have 4,500 military men, boots on the ground, that are on those submarines and on those warships. And then they say Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, like Noriega at the height of the U.S. war on drugs, was indicted by a New York grand jury on drug trafficking charges in 2020. But Maduro is a leader of an oil-rich, mineral-rich country that, despite its economic troubles, is far larger and more powerful than Panama. Moreover, Maduro doesn't exert the same degree of control over his military as did Noriega in the 1980s. And so they're saying it's a big difference between the situation that was going on in Panama at the time, than what is going on in Venezuela now. Take that how you will. We really want to hear from Dr. Figuera, because there are so many more issues to unpack regarding what's happening in the Caribbean waters. And I also want to know, what does the Jamaican government know about this incursion, this military might that is in the Southern Caribbean waters? What is CARICOM saying about this? I know I've got my satellite producers all lined up. I know Trinidad is on tenterhooks. I know Guyana has said that they are in total agreement with this, and so they're backing and giving all kinds of support to this military incursion by the United States in the Southern Caribbean Sea. As I said before, that I understand because of Essequibo. Because this goes back to Essequibo. He has to get out Maduro, because Guyana's oil is cleaner than Venezuela's oil. Not only that, Guyana's oil is easier to mine than Venezuela's oil. At the same time, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the entire world, even more than Saudi Arabia. So that we should know. So we're still trying to see if we can make contact again with Dr. Darius Figuera. Very interesting that we keep losing him. So we want to look at, so the operational implications are there, because if the operation is primarily about political destabilization rather than law enforcement, the question then becomes, what risks, if any, does this pose for the integrity of the anti-narcotics efforts in the Southern Caribbean? And that would include the potential for traffickers to exploit the situation, because that's a question. And if they exploit the situation, then how does that impact countries like Jamaica? You know, these are questions that we need to raise. Trinidad and Tobago, as I said before, is just right there. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think I've heard them say anything much, but what can they say? CARICOM. What has CARICOM said? Figueroa is saying, historically, how we have narco-trafficking networks responding when external powers use anti-crime rhetoric as a cover for political interventions. Well, let me see. All right, do we have Dr. Figueroa back? Dr. Figueroa, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do this one last time. This is very strange, but we're going to do it one last time and see where that takes us. We are also just a few minutes to go. So I want to go right into this because one of the questions we're raising while you were offline is that if this operation, as you're saying, is about, it's not, as we are saying, because you're saying this is not about the drug trafficking and narco trafficking, but it's more about political destabilization. Is there a risk then for other countries within the region, for potential traffickers to exploit the situation?
Well, what is happening right now in Colombia, there's a raging war within the Colombian drug trade, an intense battle is building for dominance. Mm-hmm. Now remember, those who are taking part in that battle for dominance in Colombia were in fact expelled from Venezuela. So any attempt to destabilize Venezuela on the pretext of a strike against a non-existent mythic drug cartel, you are in fact creating space for those who were expelled to return. Which proves again that your war on drugs has always been false, because your war on drugs has simply been an instrument to project white power in the world amongst non-white nations. It has nothing to do with no war on drugs.
And help our listeners to understand why the U.S. wants regime change in Venezuela.
It's a political mentality that stems from their own white supremacist imperial colonial outlook on life, where they have the right to do what they want with impunity. So what happens is that it's the same attitude they exhibit towards Cuba. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that there is a fixation on Venezuela. And the fixation on Venezuela is the fact of the matter is that you are intent to exploit anybody's natural resources for free. Mm-hmm. And Venezuela is the one who drew lines in the sand for you with Chavez.
Yes.
And now that Chavez is gone, they intend to take it back. Mm-hmm. But what
I think we lost him again, you know. And he's in Trinidad. I mean, he's in Trinidad. He's right there where, you know, everything is being monitored. So, you know, I was just about to ask him about what's happening in Trinidad. What are they saying in Trinidad? Because if you look at your maps again and look at where this massive military incursion, military operation is taking place. Trinidad, they can literally walk out of their doors in Trinidad and they're in one of those submarines. They're also air, an aerial operation, if you will. They're warplanes. And people are talking about a Somalia situation because, you know, the United States bombs Somalia once or twice a week. And this started with Barack Obama. And it hasn't ended. Where Somalia is being bombed into nothingness. So people are asking, and okay. So let me just go back to this because I'm not sure we can get him back online. And if he comes back, it's going to be a similar situation. So let's leave Dr. Figueroa, and we'll see if we can pick up on this conversation another time. So do not call him back. I'll just send him a text. My apologies. As I said before, he's in Trinidad. He's in Trinidad. And I want you to go online. And if you have, because some of us still old school, I have about 3 atlas in my house. I want 2 globe. And not to mention that, anyway. So some of us still old school. And we have the hard copy atlases and we have the globes and so on, same way. And the African Union is calling for a new world map so that Africa is properly represented and that every country is sized according to what them look like, because Africa is bigger than all of them, and yet at the same time you have Greenland, which can hold in Africa 1,050 times. That is bigger than Africa. So the African Union just came out last week and they're calling for a new world map. I think the African Union should just draw them own map and then just send it, come give the rest away. We use it. Who are you calling for? Who are you calling on? Donald Trump the other day just changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Mexico is not using that. Mexico is still saying the Gulf of Mexico and them saying the Gulf of America. I don't know how that works with trade and so on, and hurricanes. But we don't have to call upon nobody to draw a new world map. Scale it, Africa Union. Scale the map and draw the map yourself. Who are you calling on? Why we keep calling on people for everything, calling on them to do this? It is for us to do. Why there was a big speech about it? Why the African Union never just do it? Look how many engineers and cartographers and technical people and so on that we have who can just draw a map. Right, so Dr. Figueroa is not allowed to talk to us this morning. I just go and call a spade, and we don't come from St. Elizabeth. So he's not allowed to talk to us this morning because we keep getting disconnected. And as I said before, he's in Trinidad. And we deliberately didn't promo this interview because when we promote these kinds of interviews, not only are we not able to make the telephone calls, but we are taken off air in places like Channel A22 and other places. Okay. All right. But my sister and friend and colleague is on the phone lines. She is Sondri Shaw, a historian and a social activist herself and a researcher, a former senior producer here at IRFM. She's worked on this program and she continues to work offline on this program as we speak. Sondri, good morning. My sister, how are you doing?
Sister, my friend, how are you?
My darling, what do you think about what's happening here? We're just not, Dr. Figueroa is just not allowed to talk to us.
I'm starting to wonder if your lines have been tapped. You've been losing him so often. This never happened.
And you've been here. This is something that, I don't know. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But as I said before, he's in Trinidad. And if you look at how this whole thing is set up, this incursion, this military incursion in the southern Caribbean waters, Trinidad is totally covered. They're closer to Trinidad than Venezuela, if you ask me. This is basically the current situation. But, Sondri, did you watch the debate last night?
I did, and I actually sent in a couple of questions that were never addressed. I saw parts of them being addressed in other questions, but for the most part, I had some concerns that I never saw addressed, and I believe many Jamaicans also sent questions that weren't addressed. I see arguments about who won and who was the better debater. One of my colleagues, who is not Jamaican, by the way, said that he thought the debates were a bit too formal and they reminded him of high school debates and left him desiring much more. I'm wondering why we're spending so much time discussing who won instead of how well the issues were addressed. Healthcare was never addressed properly, if you ask me. That's one of the issues. And I'm very, very much up in arms when it comes down to access to beaches and waterways. I don't think those issues were addressed. So giving you one example of Dumput Beach, I'm not so familiar with the beaches always, but the examples that Mr. Samuda used, giving me those single example. Do nothing for people who are concerned about Blue Lagoon, who are concerned about Winifred Beach and Bob Marley Beach and
Reggae Beach
you need to be talking
and
to
every
all
other
of Jamaica.
beach. Yes, because
Exactly.
Jamaica is a landlocked country, not because it's landlocked because it's an island, but because they successive governments, both the PNP and the JLP, they have presided over a colonial system of denying access to the people, to the beach. So, and they have locked off the entire coastline from Negril Point to Morant Point. You can find, a little... when you drive around, you see that people bore hole in our fences. You see that people block down, walls, just trying to get to the water, trying to get to the ocean. So this is our reality. So what both of them said is frightening to me, because at the end of the day, what I came away from with that is that it's more of the same.
And it's interesting, just about 2 or so weeks ago, I was speaking to someone from the United Nations, and I said the same thing. I said, as an island, we run the risk of becoming a landlocked island, where it's only those who migrate here to do business, or we call them investors. It's only investors and tourists who will be able to enjoy our natural resources. Mm-hmm. And to the extent that not only do people have a problem having any recreation time in the water, but we also run the risk of losing our religious ties or ritualistic ties to these waterways simply because we don't have access. I told them about Roaring River, you've been fighting about Roaring River for how long? Mm-hmm. And I told them about that and told them the ties to Jamaica's first national hero. Mm-hmm. And they were actually taken aback that we were not doing much more to protect this legacy. So I don't think either party addressed the issue well. If you ask me, but we keep debating who won. The lives of the Jamaican people are at stake and they're gambling it away and remain silent about it. No wonder this morning, just a few minutes ago, I saw a post in one of our newspapers about gambling odds.
Gambling odds on what?
Check, I just sent it to you, where they're best being put out about who will win the election. Oh, yes. Gambling away the lives of Jamaicans.
I'm seeing it for true.
Yes, and for those who are listening, if you don't believe me, just go to Jamaica Observer. We're not afraid to call names.
No, companies offering. It says companies offering odds on election say bets are booming. $65,000 is the highest payout in the 2020 poll. So they're betting again on the lives of the Jamaican people. Who is going to win? So go and bet to see if JLP or PNP is going to win. What a piece of...
And thousands of wages have already been received. So we are gambling away our lives, not recognizing that there are more important issues at stake. Tomorrow morning, what will employment look like? A lot of us are surviving because of the informal sector. Yes. And the informal sector comes under so much pressure. We talk about regulation all the time. I'll never forget when the handcart men downtown were quote-unquote regulated. I still see them driving through Kingston with those license plates on their cars. What has become of that? The informal sector is squeezed under the guise of regulation, but we don't ask them about that. Mm-hmm. There is concern about the declining birth rate in the country, and we have not heard issues about maternity care.
I was wondering, and I know that you yourself sent in a question, re-maternity. How did they select the questions? Did I ask that already? How did they select the questions?
As for the journalists are actually asking the questions, right? So I wouldn't know how Natalie and Romaldo would have.
No, I mean for social media. For
social media, I know that the questions were sent into the Jamaica Debates Commission Instagram page. They use Instagram, TikTok. I don't quite remember if they use Facebook, but I know about those two platforms. Mm-hmm. You send in the questions to those platforms, and then those questions are read and selected. And when the questions are selected, then they're passed over to the moderator, who last night was Amoy, and then she would read those questions. Mm-hmm. So there's no guarantee that having sent in your question, yours
is going to be read. After all, it's an hour. It's an hour, so you can get in just so many questions at a time. What do you think? Because I've been talking about it all morning, that I expected crime. Social. Is there a misdiagnosis, do you think, just listening to the questions last night, of social issues?
I think that some of the issues could fall under the economic section, but in terms of talking about housing, health, education, I believe they fell appropriately under social issues.
What about crime and violence?
Crime and violence, I think on the one hand, I think it could stay there. On the other hand, I'm thinking that perhaps we might have needed another category. Because there is a reason why whether sociologists or historians or anthropologists write or talk, there's a reason why we say socioeconomic, sociopolitical, sociocultural, because we know that things overlap. So we might have needed another category. And so instead of 3 separate debates, we might have needed a 4th debate.
I was hoping that we'd considering it's a matter of priorities, right? Because Jamaica is the 2nd most murderous country in the world. It is in the top 5 most violent country. So that it becomes crime and violence and the policies, the ones that you say working, the ones that have failed, and looking historically at because they like to talk about numbers, that I expected that to come out in that space. And I said to myself, well, maybe they have censored. There's some level of censorship in terms of what questions belong here and what belong in another place. But for me, one of our social issues and the top social issue on this island is crime and violence. So I expected that to be out there seriously. What do you think about the response, the PNP's response to the bus, the school bus?
And then this is going to lead me to something else that I've been questioning too, and I don't think the questions were asked the way they should have been asked. But I've listened to what the PNP has said. At some points, I think some clarity is also lacking on their end, and they're on the risk of sounding like they're just attacking policies set on by the Jamaica Labour Party or set up by the Jamaica Labour Party. I am not seeing a clear-cut plan as to how the PNP will go about addressing the bus system, and I'm also not seeing a clear explanation from the Jamaica Labour Party as to how they decided on getting these buses and deciding that these buses are appropriate for the system. I'm also not seeing clearly from either side how the system will be funded without a loss or even to break even. We're talking about rising costs of petrol most weeks. How it means that then the transportation will have to be heavily subsidized. How do we pay for those subsidies? I'm not seeing any clear-cut answers from either side. I'm seeing a lot of pointing fingers and trying to make the other side look as if they don't have any sense. That's what I'm seeing from it.
And then another question I raised this morning, and just for you to talk about this a minute, Son, is so we've heard all of this from all of them forever. And every time there's an election, in recent times we've been having debates, but even when there are no debates, we have the political stage and we have, you come in the communities and you talk about water and road and so on and so forth. And so we've heard this over time and time and time and time again. At what point does it become just a whole bag of lies and Jamaican people need to take charge of their lives, charge of them space and charge of them politics?
It is going to be difficult for Jamaicans to step up and take charge of everything. And I am speaking now from the perspective of an educator. We have an education system that creates those style workers for a plantation style workforce. We don't create thinkers anymore. We create people who can regurgitate. We celebrate CSEC and CAPE 1s and 2s as though our students are doing anything great. When on paper it's great to say I got a grade 1, I got a grade 2, but they are not thinkers, and so they don't know how to critically assess systems. These are the same students who grow up to become adults. Some don't function well in higher learning, where you're supposed to become even more critical of systems and be able to ask questions. You don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree, but you should be able to question a system so much so that the people are able to understand how that system is set up. And as I see it now,
the nation is being dumbed down to a point of just being zombies following back a day.
We're just following, we're unable to question. So if we do not question, if we are unable to question, how can we take charge of a system that we don't understand? Even in war, you need to study your enemy so you understand their moves to know how to defend your country or how to attack them. And we are not able to assess or to follow or to understand most. Did you see the behavior on nomination day and see how many people were flung from vehicles because of careless driving? These are the persons who are voting to determine our future. You know? Do you think these persons are capable of critical analysis, of critical questioning? I saw a video of one young lady speaking to the Prime Minister. She was, I forget which community, but she's basically talking about the roads. And so the PM is saying, yes, it looks bad. You're 30 years old and your bond comes to the road this way. And before he was able to make his summary or his synopsis of the situation, she just said, yeah, because somebody achieved something and it can't make sense. We work so hard. And then somebody thieved the cash that is supposed to take care of us. And I saw then, I use this term very lightly just for ease of conversation. At the most basic level, someone who was willing to engage the Prime Minister in a conversation where the issues mattered. And I saw a pause because it's like the question caught him off guard because we're not accustomed to people questioning, why is this? You're telling me to pay how much money to be fit. You have inspectors on the road every morning for us, but the roads are not fit for us.
But that is hope then. That is hope that, you know, that we at least will have a critical mass. Which is what is needed for
we don't have enough. I think we need more, and I'm wary because I see some of our teachers doing this.
So much for filling the gap. Dr. Figueroa will be very proud of you. You are, and I've heard from him. He says just what we're saying, that it is interference, it is sabotage, and he says it's coming from his end, from Trinidad. So we go with what he says. He knows exactly what he's saying. All right. So quickly, Sandra, where you mentioned that you're an educator. We didn't say initially when you came on that.
No, leave that alone.
But you're an educator. All right. So our listeners know that. So let me just wrap quickly with you on that, because you were talking about teachers and it goes back to you being an educator also, what you're seeing and your own thinking as what should be done differently. So let's wrap with that.
Right. So if we can get to the young minds through the education system, then I think we have a chance. Because although I'm saying we've dumbed down the society, I've seen firsthand that there is still hope. You know, I am at different levels in education. And when I hear the questions that my young people have, I have to sit down and pause and say, all right, so you want to run the session and we just have a seminar. And my first taste of this recently was when we had a discussion over the proposal for Emancipendence Weekend. And when I heard the questions being asked and they started to ask, when are they going to have debates, when is the election, because we're not seeing the kind of leadership we want. And these are the things we want to require of the political parties. How do we get to the leaders? How do we hold them accountable? There is no opening for you to reach them via social media, via town hall, anything like that. There is still hope, you know. The problem is to get those who represent the hope that we want, to get them out to vote, because a lot of them are just voter apathy. They just believe that they cannot effect any change because the leaders would have been selected already based on who sits better in certain international relationships. And so you were talking about the activities in the South Caribbean now. These are babies who didn't know anything about when Patterson helped Aristide come through Jamaica, and then we had the issue on the human trafficking index. And the thing is that is no excuse, because, and this is why I talk also about the role and the responsibility of media, because we have a situation that's unfolding in the South Caribbean seas that is a social issue because of how it is social and it is political, but because of how this is impacting the Caribbean and about to impact the Caribbean. At least that question will come up. What do you know? Is Jamaica part of this? Are you helping the United States to thief Venezuela oil? You probably won't ask it like that, and to ensure that you capture Guyana's oil. What are you doing? Is there another Panama situation happening in the region? And to what extent is Jamaica a part of all of this new military incursion in the South Caribbean seas? I think that's a question that should have been asked last night. It can be asked. And two things, that's what I'm saying. These are babies who wouldn't have known about some of the things we know, but they're asking how come nobody is holding the government to task about that. Yes. And also, the second part of what you're saying, perhaps they're saving those questions for the leadership debates, because I fail to believe that as journalists we pay attention to what's happening with CARICOM, what's happening with Haiti and Venezuela, as you put it out there now, what's going on in Guyana and the fight between Guyana and Venezuela. And even basic things we talk about, climate change. I fail to believe that there are journalists who see what's happening with the extractive industries and the negative repercussions for small island developing states, and we would not be asking those questions. So I'm just hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that both me and you are getting ahead of ourselves, and these questions will come up in the leadership debate.
Look, I'm not watching no more debate because to me it don't make no sense.
I'll watch them for you,
please, because as they do this, you know, I mean, there's so many. I have to listen. I was going to raise a whole new point about roads in Jamaica, rural roads in particular, but I do not want to go down that gully before I take the break. So let me go back to the break. Saundry Shaw, thank you so much, my sister, for your input.
Anytime.
Thank you for standing by and for coming in when needed, as usual. Thank you.
Oh, good. Uncle Jackson.
Howdy.
DJs, artists, entertainers, D-Meds, Dwayne Adams has written a book. It's called I Am a Living Hero. You remember D-Meds from the COVID lockdown. He gained notoriety, if you will, during the COVID lockdown because he was one of the first persons out in the streets protesting the masks and protesting the vaccines. He was locked up. He was abused, he was mistreated, and he has written about it. He's going to join me in the studio for a short while, just about half an hour at 8:37. And then after that, we'll be talking to Lloyd Diagola about the debate, but also specifically about his call for Jamaicans to boycott the upcoming elections, the September 3 elections. Earlier that we were kind of looking at the roads. There's the road network across Jamaica, especially in rural Jamaica. And I'm going to find some time to talk about it this morning because this is illusion. These people are magicians. This is illusion at the highest levels. The Gleaner headline right now says SSL payout starts. Bolt's company among 40 defrauded SSL clients set to receive funds starting on Monday. It's behind a paywall, so I can't tell you anymore, but it's in the Gleaner. SSL payout starts, so go check that. And if you subscribe to the Gleaner, please send me the story. Anyway, so we're moving into the next segment of the program, and my very special guest is in the studio, Dwayne D-Meds Adams. How are you doing, my brother?
Dennis Stellin, greetings, Grand Rising Kabu.
Grand Rising to you. All right, I'm giving you a chance. Let me cut your mic so you can lift your microphone from the... Just lift it up because as an artist, you know, it's set wrong, don't it? Don't you say it's set wrong?
But it's a boss, you know. You don't want to touch it under the wrong thing, you know?
Exactly, you said to yourself, but no. Right. Thank you for coming, my brother. Usually you're doing entertainment interviews, but this morning we're interviewing you as an author. Yes. Not as a singer, not as a DJ, not as an entertainer, but as a serious author. And I have in my hand your book, I Am a Living Hero, Dwayne D-Meds Adams. We are all heroes is on the back to someone. We are all heroes. I've read the book.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I know it can also be described as a booklet, right? Because it is pretty thin.
Yes.
And just so our listeners understand what we have in our hand. Why did you decide to write this book?
I just want to say give thanks for the opportunity to come present myself on your program, Kabu. All right, the reason why I write this book, Kabu, I was going through a process where after the COVID, I was in a group called Let's Talk and Build Porous, and like, so, because I grew up in Porous, so there are ones in there was like, some people call me mad, because I ended up losing my visa through the process.
We're going to talk about that because you write about that in the book, right?
Yeah. So people would basically calling me mad. And kind of also through the COVID, like, there was like a division between us, you know, the people. Like, some people were saying that we should take the vaccine and some were saying not to take the vaccine. I was one of them who were in a fight against the vaccine, mandatory vaccination, or vaccination period, you know what I mean? So a lot of people were classifying me as, become Rasta first, they want to say you're mad.
Yeah, and so being Rastafari, and then later on to be so vocal against being vaccinated, that is COVID vaccine in particular, and also wearing masks. And you were pretty vocal about that.
But yes, I was pretty vocal about the mask and the vaccine. I think I was one of the most vocal one about the mask, you know what I mean? Because I started to put on pressure upon the system from early because the Irish of the Most High started to speak within me and telling me that demons, you have to start do something from now, because it is a strategy from seeing who and who or go through the whole process. So then I move from one stage from the mask to the mandatory vaccination. So the spirit tell me, say, yo, me have to start put on the pressure upon the system from now to get the people them awaken and bring back courage within the people.
So how did you, because you physically brought yourself to the space in terms of putting on the pressure, to the spaces, to protest?
Yes, but so the reason why, just to answer your first question, the reason why I write the book was because they must have been mad, and I said, okay, no, I'm really have to tell me a story. Yes.
Oh, so, that's
yes. So that was the one reason why I did write the book, to just tell my story. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes. So
because I was taking you to the COVID vaccine, because having read the book, I thought, okay, well, you needed to put this in writing because it is true and it has to be documented.
Yes.
Because you were out there at the forefront of this battle, which was a hard one to fight.
Trust me.
And which you have written a lot about. But before we go there, also talk about your early life. You had a rough life starting in the early days in terms of being separated from your parents. But you also said you were a virgin birth.
yes, that's what.
So we know, so you don't honor,
yeah, that's what.
And you put that in writing.
Yeah, that's what my mom told me, Yeah, so
you're the best.
Yeah, yes. Basically, yeah. So my life was like, So my mother, I was living with my aunt first, and my mother died when I was younger. Then I sent me to my father. Then I was living with my auntie in Maple. My mother was living in Porus. So, and then when I was in grade 3, my mother come for me, you know what I mean? And then my mother basically was overseas, working to take care of me, you know what I mean? So that's how I grew up.
So you talk about living with 2 aunts, and one where you like and one will beat you a lot. But you sound like you like us still. But you're saying that you in terms of as a youth, you get a lot of beating.
I used to get beaten when it was time to do like my ABC and stuff by my aunt Michelle. So she was very strict on me.
D-mates, is you write it in the book?
Yes,
okay.
So yes, I used to get beaten from my aunt Michelle for to do that.
But she was beating you to learn. That was the thing.
Yes, she was beating me to learn.
Because a lot of our elders are a little bit misguided when it comes to how to get us to learn. Yes. So you get beaten for the maths, and you get beaten if you can't read and so on. But I'm hoping that over time that has changed.
Yeah, it's changed now, Kyle. Right now, if you beat your child now, you can be locked up for that now. Yeah,
right. But you never was a bad pick. You just get beaten for learn.
I was just getting beaten to learn. Yes.
So, but there was a time when you also moved, right? You were in Clarendon, was it first?
Yes, I went.
And then you went to
Porus,
to Manchester.
Yes.
And you write about what it was like in school, that move and what that did, and how you managed, because it seems as if there was a period when you moved that you found it a little bit difficult to settle in school, but that you were more interested in sports. Talk to us about that.
Okay. Yeah, so after leaving Maypen, I went to Porus. To live with my mom, which I was very excited about. So when I was in primary, I was a fairly good student, but I was very active in sports, both football and track and field. I was good at both of them. Very good at track and field. So I was very distracted by those 2 things.
Right.
Plus girls.
When you listen, if I should go into what you said exactly, about the girls,
Yeah.
So you're saying you were seriously distracted by girls, but you also seem to suggest that you really didn't even know better. I'm picking that up in the book, as if there is some kind of a regret that you were so distracted.
Yes.
By the
Girls.
by romance. You don't want me to say what you write on the book, but it's okay.
No, it's
I don't have to say what you wrote in the book. They need to go buy your book.
Yeah, they need to go.
See what you said exactly.
Yes.
I'm not even quite sure if I can say it on air, but the long and short of it is that you're distracted by sports and girls from the academic, for your learning, your book learning.
Yes.
But there was a time when you went. Tell me about that sports part of you, because it seems to me as if you really went after that seriously.
Yes, I was a very good runner. I've got a lot of medals and stuff. You went to champs and thing. So on football, I used to love football. So I was playing football from a small age growing up. So I used to be like the most valuable player. That thing that I call Western Union football we do every summer in Porus. Yes, and Dakar Cup also too. So I was very famous in high school.
Yeah.
So
You're a baller.
Yeah, I was very famous in high school. But the thing is this now, my regret is with parenting now.
All right, hold the parenting. I'm going to come back. Let me take a quick break.
The child about certain things, you know what I mean? And I make that very different with my child, which I start to talk from early on. I start to talk to her about, I don't know if I can use the word sex. And the radio, I start to talk to her from early on, from just small. I start to tell her certain things, you know what I mean? To value herself, value her virginity, all them things. But when we were growing up, like our parents never used to tell us that, you know what I mean? So we were just doing things, you know what I mean?
Well, I think this is what you're referencing, the book. That's good for you.
Yes.
You didn't necessarily get that
guidance.
That guidance.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So whose phone is that ringing? Because that your mic. Okay, let me cut your mic. All right. So we're speaking with D-Meds, and his book is called I'm a Living Hero. Let's go to the hero now, because you and this is what I like about you. You look back at what you have done, and especially during a particular period in Jamaica. And you said this is the work of a hero. And you said, I am a living hero.
Yes.
Yes. And that specifically has to do with your activism. You talk about the how you saw what was happening during the period, the COVID period. But you were also brutalized, if you will, beaten by the police.
Yes.
Tell me about that story.
Yeah, and yes, the work which I put in, I definitely see myself as a hero. Not only me and all the people who actually was out there protesting, marching. So we were marching to go to UIC with Mr. Joseph Patterson.
Yes.
I mean, I tell you, Kabu, it was a dangerous time, you know, Kabu. Like,
I know.
Yeah, I thought about police was out there with them guns, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and pepper
not just
spray.
police, but your own neighbors and people who were seeing you on the street.
Yeah.
And people were pushing people out of vehicles. If you cough, you get pushed out of a vehicle.
Yeah.
If you sneeze, you get taken off of the bus. It was dystopian what was happening during those 2 years of lockdown. But you were out there on the battlefield, literally.
I was out there literally with my speaker box. I do a song called Take the Mask Off, and I was out there playing the song right through.
Sing a little piece of it, let me hear.
Me try the mask for your day. Them two real, them two fake. Me nearly stifle. How them do it, me no know. Queen Elizabeth, take the mask off of the children. Them can't breathe. Who want breathe? Tell them. Jamaica, take no mask off. Tell them. Take your mask off. Correct politician. Yeah, so. And
you were saying that in the middle of when it was blasphemy to say that.
Everybody have a mask. I couldn't get no radio play with it. Or anything, you know. I mean, radio station was free to play that song.
I would have played it. I didn't get it.
Cha-cha. Yeah.
I was telling people to take the mask off. Yeah. I would have loved that song.
You played? Okay, yeah.
I would have played it.
Yeah, man, I tried my best to get the radio play. Couldn't get the play, so I literally have a speaker box. I was walking through the market in the streets and building back the people with confidence, go downtown Kingston.
How do you feel now that you hear Anthony Fauci and them coming out now? Anthony Fauci has said that he never told anybody that the mask would stop the spread of COVID. This is what he's saying now, you know. Mm-hmm. How do you feel when you hear them all walking back from it, that the mask was of no use, it was of no help, somebody say it and somebody pick it up and somebody pick it up, and that the entire world is wearing it. Now they're saying that it did not help. How do you feel about that?
Sister Kabu, these people should be locked up, you know.
Yes.
These people should be locked up.
Tarred and feathered.
Yeah, man. Because people dead from this vaccine,
yes,
Sister Kabu. People dead, people have illness.
And people are still dying.
People, trust me. Like some things we have come out about this thing. Trust me, I don't know, or no one don't get locked up, I know.
And why governments don't pick it up, because it's an interesting thing that our government don't pick this up at all. Everything that's coming out, all the documents that have come out, the vaccine, COVID itself, there's an ongoing situation where they haven't picked that up. But you have... You ran in. You were even one time thrown into the. Did you go in the truck yourself?
Yes, man.
Tell me because.
I literally, because I was fighting like 2 fights in the streets before. I was like basically in the streets though, like no, because I'm in the streets now, Kabu. Because for some reason I might have been in the streets, like I sell natural juice and stuff. So I'm connecting with the people. So I'm seeing the sufferation of the people. So I see the people them like police them attack the people them goods and all them thing there. So like. One time I went to the inspector and I was talking to him like why the people run from him and all them things. Then I was explaining to that him and the people them supposed to have some form of understanding and all them things. And he was like go and speak to the Prime Minister about it because of them vote for the Prime Minister. And I was like, all right, I see him again, I will speak to him. I was there talking to him, explaining to him that listen me, just like your mother used to have a work for send her go school and all them things and pay bills, that's what these people out here doing. And he find, to me, he find it offended by me speaking about his mother. And he was like, move from selling me for my pepper spray or shoot it at my gun. I'm like, for some reason, I wear a spirit and I myself, draw closer to him, never touch him still, just draw closer to him. And I say, me now make him draw with him gun for me. When me just walk off. By the time, look, pepper spray out, spraying, I start put up my hand to shield him off, ease him off. Look, feel butt licking on my head, down on the ground, police over me can't dip on the ground and all them stuff. Then the police them I say, yo, broke him man if him keep on try to resist. I felt a spirit come over me, like an angel like energy come over me like.
And you said that George, you felt the spirit of George Floyd.
Yeah, George Floyd, yeah. So yeah, cause when George Floyd died, I was like questioning it, and then so him come over me now and he was like, this is how them kill me in America. And when it come over me, it's like, ease up the liquor for me, you know what I mean? So them take me up, and I was there, and the people, them must say, him dead, and like, them take me up, literally take me up like some dead meat, and just chew me up in the van back. You see me? Chew me up in the van back and thing, and I was there, the spirit, I said to me, say, demons, I kill them one, kill you, And then some look up on them, I see some police, the cross, be a police in the van back crossway. I felt like a death angel kind of energy for the police that come over me. So I look up on the police and I was like, a righteous man, no one kill. And I said, I don't know me. And I said, I mean, I'm the meds, I mean, sing down for a bad company, I mean, I will on crime rate, So them say, so yeah, move so. So I say, oh, me I move. I just go talk to the inspector about something. So then go up on them phone and go up on YouTube and find my song. So don't follow bad company actually saved my life, that song.
I mean, your voice still cracking up, D-Man. It's like you're still in the moment.
Yeah, man.
Even though your voice cracking up, give us a little piece of that song that don't follow bad company. So people recognize
yeah,
that.
Clarendon, me penna there, so yes, me from. Only get a start on in a gunman. So me try to take a different route from day one. Stay out of trouble, never join to no gang. So me take up the music and go sing like a cocotte. Never follow me brother and go step like daddy. Me mother show me right for me idea and me knee. She tell me for my boy greatness in a me. She say, don't follow bad company. Jamaica, on the year, you can be what you want to be. Kabu, cause if a jail she not look for me. In a college, she want to see me. Everybody say, don't follow bad company.
And I'm quite sure that a lot of Jamaicans listening recognize this song immediately because this at least got a lot of airplay.
Yes,
right?
It did.
And this song is means a lot to you because you talk about the death of your brother.
Yes.
And that this song came out of that?
Yes, it's a true story. Yeah. Everything I mentioned with my father, my brother and everything, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I lost our brothers because of crime and violence. Yeah, and we don't know, we come from Maypen, we know crime and violence and badness can lead to. So when we really see Jamaica really promote badness over goodness, it really hurt me, Kabu. Yeah, really hurt me, it pain me heart, you know what I mean? And them I suffer the good youth, them and push forward the youth, them I sing about badness, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. And that is true.
Yeah.
That there's in a lot of spaces where you expect that there would be a larger concentration on the positive. And I hear Mayor Motley saying that to the media yesterday or the day before, that we have a responsibility to foreground the positive and to and to suppress the negative. I do agree with her to a very large extent, as a matter of fact, totally on that. But you say you're seeing that very same thing in the music, where it is the badness that going to the front and the culture music and the positive music taking a background.
Yeah, definitely. But I want to big up RFM still, you know what I mean? Because RFM over the years trying to push the culture out there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But Jamaica overall, the people them, come here fire about the people them too, you know, because I don't understand them, you know what I mean? It's like, no matter how I go out there and I sing for them. I know a long time I work Kabu. I be working very hard, you know what I mean? About 15 years now. And so the people them know me and like they don't know me. And some, you know, so we're out there, we're in them face and we're sing it and we're nice up the place and we're tell them don't follow bad company. But them still not follow we. Them go follow the youth, them we say badness, you know what I mean? And say cartel come out there and I tell them, so listen me, stay away from badness. Wait.
Don't bleach.
Don't bleach and all them. So everything we are singing say that. And I still can't tell them, I say, so we don't know what to them. Trust me.
Well, at least it must have positive. There's just so much in your book. We're all the time, but there's just so much in your book, right? You talk about going through that whole process of finding the challenges on the island, especially after and while you were going through everything with COVID and the protests and so on, when you tried to go overseas.
Yeah.
But that you got airport and them turning about.
Yeah, cause me actually, my mother was pressuring me, and I literally make a decision of leaving in the time of COVID, which was a wrong move. Cause the spirit of the ancestors them where traveled through me was very rebellious at that time. So when my mother was like, make sure you carry your mask, and my spirit said, nah, I carry no mask in the airport, you know. Is it? So when
and it's in the heights of COVID.
Heights of COVID, man. Like, you know what I mean? So when I went there, like, I literally do my check-in and them stuff there. When I do my check-in, they were like, wear a mask. Somebody just put the kerchief over my face. I pass one pass, take it off again, go into the plane, reach one, then so wear your mask, put on my kerchief again, take it off. Go. So I was like literally just giving them trouble, like to
they take you off of the plane.
Yeah, some literally go into the plane and them decide, say, all right, no, them now but I carry me go to the plane, and they were like kissing off of me. so like everybody was kissing off of me, like they were like, thank you for doing this for you.
And you write it in the book that they were so happy with the protest.
Yes.
I mean, they weren't going to do it because they might forget where they might go.
They're not themselves, you know, but they're happy so somebody come and it was like that.
Yeah. You know, where's the book available?
The book is out on Amazon Books worldwide, and I also sell them by myself also too. Okay. Yes, I sell them for $5,000. And
iNation have them.
iNation buy one for me. Yeah, but you don't have it.
If you give some for sale.
Yeah, man. We trying to get some sponsor on it so we can get a bulk of it. Currently, if you can, come make every disc at RFM get a copy also too.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
man.
easy to read. It's quick to read.
Yeah, man,
I read it in one sitting. Although you almost cost me up, so I never read it. And see me read it there though.
Yes, sir.
I read it in time.
But
thank you so much. I mean, thank you for the work that you're doing, the work that you continue to do,
yes.
your activism, your revolutionary spirit, and the fact that you, as an artist, which not a lot of artists are doing, you stop to write down what you're doing, what you're seeing. And it's also philosophical because towards the end, you get highly philosophical power. Start talking about, especially the last, you say honesty means not to oppress anyone and to deny his deserved share. When we speak of the betterment of man's life, we mean not merely the economic improvement of living standards. We refer in addition to the spiritual conditions in which man lives. For just as a man without means to feed his hunger and to clothe his nakedness can take no pride in his existence as a human being, so also is one who is reviled and discriminated against because of his race or religion, robbed of his self-respect and human dignity.
Rastafari. Yeah, man. Yes, man. That's the words of His Majesty, you know. Yes. Definitely. So you don't know, because without the Almighty in the midst of it. And Kabu just wants to keep up the good work to Sister Kabu. Because I see her fight the fight over the years, you know what I mean? I try to get the people them awaken, you know.
Thank you, my brother. And I really look how you look dapper today. I like when you come running African looking so dapper, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my brother.
I love your dress also too.
Thank you. So that's D-Meds. Dwayne D-Meds Adams, I Am a Living Hero. I
just want to, can I say something? I just want to thank everyone who purchased the book already. Yeah, man. I'm big up all of me in Clarendon, Rusty.
For us, answer.
And for us.
All right, give thanks. telling you all morning that we're going to be speaking with our brother Lloyd D'Aguilar in this segment of the program. Lloyd has been writing extensively in the social media spaces about the elections, and he's made a call, and this is not the first time he's making the call, for Jamaican people to boycott the upcoming elections. I want to talk to him about that. Lloyd D'Aguilar is a human rights activist. He's founder of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, PACM, where he stood out as a defender of the people who were brutally attacked in Tivoli Gardens by the security forces in 2010. He has for several years been campaigning against police extrajudicial killings in Jamaica. He's a journalist, having worked at 3 radio stations in Jamaica and at WBAI Radio in New York, where he started his radio experience. He campaigned against state corruption on behalf of Nzinga King, whose locks were cut while in police lockup. So we're standing by for Lloyd D'Aguilar. Lloyd, we're not getting you online, so let me know what's happening. Let me just all right, so Lloyd, we're not getting you. Call us, please, and let us know what's happening. Okay, so that's coming up in a minute. Stand by for that interview. Just before we went to the talk with DMED, one of the things that I said was that, you know, we want to look. We had this whole political debate last night, and I can't underscore enough how far off the mark we have gone as a people. If after a political debate on social issues in Jamaica, the place that we're going to is in the high school mode to say who win, who give the best speech, who nervous, which party win overall. We're flooded with this review of the debate in the social media spaces, and interestingly, in the legacy media. And so the question then becomes, is what do we want as a nation? Who are we and what do we really want? Are we okay with where we are, considering that we were supposed to be talking about social issues last night, and we don't care as a nation about what was said? We more care about who win and who lose. My point, though, and we said earlier that the 2 political parties have already put out them flyers and them promotional videos and them promos just generally across the social media spaces, that they have won. And so my thinking on that is, if both of them won, then who lost? And the answer is we the people, we've lost. Them patting themselves on their backs in their egos, egotistical maniacs, in their egos, patting themselves on their backs about who did the better debate. This happened when we used to be on the debating team at St. Mary High School. And I'm telling you, even when we debated at St. Mary High School, we were doing national debates across Jamaica and winning enough of them. But even when we were there on those teams, when we come back, whether we win or we lose, the post-production conversation is about what we could have done better. Did we serve ourselves well? Did we serve the school well? Did we represent ourselves well, represent the school well? So this kindergarten thing, when we see them are going with now outside of this election, is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So take it how you will, but it is a disgrace. So I'm standing by to speak with my next guest, Lloyd D'Aguilar. And until we get him online, let me do this quickly. The election debate just concluded, and I think this is something that he's written on the social medias. He says, no probing questions asked. And so both political parties, JLP and PNP, can continue to give the impression that they have a solution on social problems. They have nothing to offer the people. Our position remains effective. Why do they not support free education, free health care, land for the landless, People's Commission of Inquiry into State Corruption, end to the state policy of police extrajudicial killings, etc.? He says these are explicit questions that should have been asked. Both support the present policy of not taxing the rich, hence social deficiency. They have nothing to offer working class Jamaicans. So he says, boycott. We are building a Sam Sharp movement against wage slavery. So this is the latest from Lloyd D'Aguilar, but I'm not getting him just now on the phone lines. And let me know what's happening with Lloyd, please. No, there's another situation that's happening that we wanted to quickly talk about, and it is the condition of the roads in Jamaica, rural roads in particular. Once you come off of the so-called urban highway them, and some of the roads are going through the towns, and I can't even talk for all towns because some of the town them, I mean, it's crazy what's going through. This is something that has been ongoing forever. Jamaica has a lot of rainfall. When rainfall, road mash up, right? Road mash up when rainfall, because when them get the money to fix the road, them thief it, them steal it, and they spend. And this has been happening forever in Jamaica, where they're skimming off a top. So they don't build proper drainage, because if you're going to some communities, when the big man them used to build road, and them used to build a drain by the side on the road, and build kind of like with a little slope, and you can see the drain, and them communities are old. Them roads are still good after decades, but enough of them new road where them are building in Jamaica. As soon as little rainfall, as some massive hole, some pits. But that aside, rural communities, there's a community called Hopewell Marlborough in St. Mary. And you see, another thing too, is that, if you have members of parliament who think it's for them God-given right to be members of parliament in a particular community forever and ever, amen. After a while, them start treat the people like them subjects. And that is basically what is happening across Jamaica. That's why I treat, sometimes I can't remember if it's what upon my mind, because, the election's coming up September 3, and maybe I'll say what I want to say now after September 3 before nobody tell no people I'm off a vote. I'm not telling anybody off a vote. Vote anyway on want to vote, but no vote for, may I say. Right? So the road network, the road condition in rural Jamaica, tan bad. There's also, in St. Mary, for example, there's a situation where every single road in the rural communities, undrivable, impassable, if you will. You have to park and walk, go down. I don't know how people manage to get to hospitals, and then don't let us not talk about the hospitals. Because after you come through that, like for example, if you're in Three Hills, Bobby Montague, what go and saw with the road them in a few constituencies, Three Hills and all of them would say. And I see why Dr. Guy has stepped back, and now it's Omar Newell up there in St. Mary, those areas where we're just talking about them roads there. We'll not take people for granted, star. We'll not take people for granted. We'll not take people for granted. And this is what, and my point, to the Jamaican people, you must know after you done vote, and after you done run up and down back of them truck, and after you done party in whatever color you're partying, like in the Pavlovian way that we're partying, we must know after we done do that, how we pick them or go drive, which route them or take go school. Because if you're in Three Hills, that the entire St. Mary is a mess. So if you're from Anata Bay inside all the way up to Hopewell, Marlborough, Richmond, Highgate, St. Mary, Windsor Castle, Karen Hall. As a matter of fact, there is a district that cut off from another district, Rock Spring. It is impossible to move from Rock Spring to Top Hopewell. And I'm going to tell you how it goes. You can move from, you should be able to, it's supposed to take you about 5 minutes to drive from Rock Spring to Hopewell. But it takes you some 2 hours because you can't drive the way there where the road connect Rock Spring to Hopewell in St. Mary. And if if you even walk and meet one vehicle down at the bottom, from once you reach Hopewell Pen is another situation. The taxi no one go up there, so because them road them non-existent. But you have to drive all the way through Windsor Castle and Carrinall and so on to come back down to get into Highgate. And when you reach Highgate, that's another problem. Port Murray is just as bad. And we're talking about Port Murray and all Three Hills, getting to Hazard, getting to Decoy. Uno write me the name of the places them uno there in Jamaica. And a brother keep calling me from Catadupa. Somewhere in a Catadupa there, right, in Westmoreland, where them just, the road is so bad that they can't even get their children to school properly. This is our reality. But all of them are coming through. All of them coming through because me go Hopewell last week and, me see all of them, are come through, them big vehicle and, and them flags are flying and the music are play loud and they're making up a whole lot of noise. SUVs, SUVs. So this is our reality. It's not funny. We're taking teeth, keep a heartburn until such time. So when they're patting themselves and slapping themselves and thanking themselves for who win and that all of them win, we the people are left to face the reality that we have to live with. Enough people that on social media this morning that talk about who win and who no win and not even have breakfast. Because everything gone up. Everything gone up. Enough people in Jamaica don't have access to Jamaica is a land of wood and water. Don't have access to water. Give me a minute, I soon come back.
No easy victory.
9:22. We spoke to Lloyd Diagula this morning, and he's been on standby to come on at 9. So I'm not sure what's happening, but we're not getting to Lloyd, and we're still trying. We're just about half an hour to go, but we're still trying. Really want to talk to him, so let's see what happens. I just want to wrap up this segment talking about the roads in Jamaica, just across Jamaica, where the roads are terrible, where people are having a difficult time getting to school, getting to work, getting to the hospital, just leaving the community, where bridges that have been broken down forever still remain broken down. Potholes are bigger than craters. If you try going, there's a place in Brownstown called Benin in Brownstown, where you try driving on that road on Benin in Brownstown. The potholes are bigger than crater. They are driving on those roads campaigning. They are in their SUVs and some of them in other cars and buses, and them take them time go down another pothole. They're campaigning for your vote. And they drive through these potholes without care for you, but for the power that they want from being in government or even opposition. Charlestown, it's at Mary. We talk about Charlestown, Three Hills. School's about to open now, and people are going to have a difficult. You're talking about buses. That's one thing, but how you get to where you're going, and not to mention the stress level that you have to endure just knowing that you have to come out of your house, and whether you have to go try find a bus to go and the taxi them now come in there, so or you are in your own vehicle, and by the time you reach work you are a mess. You're a mess, and you're portraying off all of that on people, because to get to work is like going through a minefield. To get to school for students who are going to school. And you're telling me that from 1962 till now, UNO cannot fix the road them in Jamaica? You are telling me. This is deliberate, man. This is deliberate. This is deliberate. This is deliberate. Keep the people oppress, keep the people in poverty, keep the people wanting more so you can be patronizing and condescending and fraternal. Like you're the people in Papa or you're the people in Mama. You're not the people in parents. You're not the parents of a Jamaican people. They hand out that, and we have you develop now a culture in Jamaica where politicians believe that it is their God-given right to be handing out scarce benefits. This is oppression, this is corruption, this is wickedness, this is sinful. It's cruel. And I don't start talk about the access to water yet. My mother is 84 and she live in a community called Hopewell in St. Mary, and they hardly get water up there. Hardly. When she want drinking water, we have to buy drinking water, bottled water. You understand what I'm saying? The elderly people in some of these communities, they have no running water. And you have more rivers in St. Mary than John read about in the Revelation. These are social issues. I don't know did they talk about who win the debate. No, I don't know win the debate. I want to go and take the win. And we know that we lost. Again. What are your plans to ensure that every home in Jamaica have running water? Jamaica have more rivers than almost any other country in the world. Everywhere you go, in a lot of these parishes, rivers, every time rainfall, river come down, you're talking about PNP and JLP river come down bank to bank, you make rainfall at Jamaica and you see what happen. Every river come down bank to bank, people all are wash away. And we don't know how to harness that water yet, so that every home in Jamaica have water. You're treating water like say a fuel, like it's and you're giving people black drums. Everywhere me drive through now in rural Jamaica, every little town where me going now, every little rural city, every little rural, parish, every little rural parish, you see a whole heap of black drums pan truck back. I go to people because I saw wanna use the black drums them for buy the people and vote and I must stop it. When are Jamaican people going to wake up to the reality of what we are experiencing? Because right now it's cognitive dissonance, you know. Our experiences on this island are so terrible, so wicked, so cruel, so oppressive, that we check out and I tell ourselves so we're having a better experience, but we're having it in our heads that make all of us look a bit mental. Because if we are to face the fact that we are not as we say we are, that we are not as we think we are, then what are we going to replace that with? What is the truth of who we are, of what we are experiencing? What is the truth of that? Because election is September 3. And when you walk out of your yard, how much patrol in front of it before you vote? That is a question, one question that. Which part you get water for bed for go polling station election day? Which part you get water from for bed? And bed is one thing because that is a luxury in enough places in Jamaica. Where are you going to get water to brush your teeth? How you brushing your teeth? A bottle of water you buy a shop and you can't even afford food and you have to buy a bottle of water for brush your teeth. This is our reality. Or you buy your chicken. I don't go to the Chinese shop, you there buy chicken tips because you cannot afford to buy the chicken wing. Before you go vote, ask yourself those questions. Because we must know what we're voting for, not who we're voting for. And our reality in Jamaica is what it is. They're using housing. Them hang housing round with neck. Like them are going to hang with it. Right? They control housing and them hold on pan it tight. And they both do this whenever they're in. And then them give a house here and a house there, so like you're with papa or you're with mama. You are not our parents. Create the conditions through your socio-economic policies that we can buy our own homes, that we can buy our own land. You hold on housing like say it is the 5 fish and loaf of bread. What is this? Who are we to you? That all we can live off of is what you patronize us with? What kind of foolishness is this? No vex it. Jamaican people no vex it. Jamaican people, you're not angry yet. Where is your righteous indignation against oppression, corruption, and wickedness in Jamaica? In the words of Amilcar Cabral, to identify the enemy is to free the mind. We're going to have to free our minds from tribalism, political tribalism. We're going to have to free our minds from dependency. We have to free our mind from the licky syndrome. We have to free our mind from the eater food syndrome. And we have to think in different ways. Call into being the best of yourself, which is still there that you can tap into. Because remember, me tell you, the elections are September 3. And it don't matter who win, your roads are going to be the same or worse than they are now. The teachers who getting 0% offer in the first year, you must know what I'm going to do about that. The junior doctors, nurses, security guards of the Jamaican people, those who are working in the BPOs, the slavery system, the hotels where you're entering through the back door same way, which is, and you're getting the least pay of everybody. When you look around, you're serving people like you, a servant out of the 1800s. You dress same way. I want to say to Matthew Samuda that last night you mentioned Padgy Beach as one of those beaches you're giving to the people. We never lose Padgy Beach, because we are whole Padgy Beach with everything what we have. We're not losing it. When you mention Padgy Beach as giving it back to the people, that is disingenuous. That is like you want to say you're about to take Padgy Beach and do something with it. We have never lost Padgy Beach. We hold on Padgy Beach like it is the only beach left in the entire world, which it probably is. Not only that, I want to invite you, Mr. Samuda, to walk up to Padgy Beach and look to the side where you see those buildings that are half finished. Those buildings were built as a young journalist leaving out of high school and working part-time. Well, I wasn't even out of high school yet. I was stringer for the Daily Gleaner, Supervisor Franklin McKnight. And those buildings on Padgy Beach that you see to the side there as you go into Padgy Beach on your right hand side. All of those buildings built by Michael Manley for the fishermen and their families. And when Edward Seaga won the election, he dropped that project. And so they're up there to this day, unfinished. This was my entry into understanding how politics work in Jamaica, partisan politics. Because I covered, as a young journalist, what was happening to those buildings on Padgy Beach. And up to this day. So when you mentioned Padgy Beach in the debate last night, you are wrong 50 ways to hell, because you said Padgy Beach is a beach you're giving back to the people. What do you mean giving back to? I want to say to the people on Padgy Beach, did you hear what Minister Samuda said? The fact that he mentioned Padgy Beach in this way is a Freudian slip, because we have not lost Padgy Beach. If you know, I stand up in this space. I've been standing in this space for 2 decades and more, because I saw that we were losing access to the beaches. The way we lost access to the beaches, the worst it has been is under Portia Simpson Miller. So this is not a partisan comment. Under Portia Simpson Miller, we lost more beaches to the beach, to access to the beaches than you've ever heard about. So we've been talking about that for a very long time. But the point is, for Samuda to mention, Mr. Samuda, that Paji Beach is one of the beaches you're going to give back to the people. That's a Freudian slip. What Paji Beach I do on your mind, we don't lose it. The fishermen them still control it and the people in Paji Beach still control it. What do you mean it up there? Me did up on Paji Beach. Me go Paji Beach all the while. One day we up there clean you up. And the other day we go up there just go walk on the beach and look and see what go on. So me not understand what you mean. We not have to pay if we go in or nothing. Paji Beach is our beach. It's the only beach that remains between St. Anne and St. Mary, and if you don't mind, Sharp, Portland. I'm so fed up. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this political trickery and shenanigans that happens on the island of Jamaica, especially during election time, but every time. This partisan politics have us wrapped up in some very serious death trope and death hold. They've got their collective boots on our necks and we're choking and them not care. But we're gonna have to find the strength for push off them boot there. Let us demand more from the political representatives. We put them in. Listen, the vote means that they're trustees, you know. They're supposed to hold these things in trust. Them giving themselves salary increases, massive salary increases. And people demonstrate for how long and demonstrate and nobody not pay their mind. So the Minister of Finance who put it, when the Minister of Finance gave the salary increases, he already knew that he was going to leave, you know, to the politicians. And you've given yourself so many salary increases and now you're offering teachers 0% in the first year. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Is this is okay? Is this okay? Is this okay with you? Jamaica as a nation, Jamaican. You, individually, you. Is it okay with you? I'm going to shut up for a minute because, you know, but let us say you have cancer and you go doctor and the doctor diagnose you with diabetes, and how that go? So if you're going to diagnose your own reality, it can be cancer and you'll call it diabetes. Not go so. No. The People's Party, I'm just saying, or the People's Political Forum.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is. There should be a voice that defends that large mass of persons who are not engaged in the political process. Yeah. And you know, the argument that if you don't have a if you don't have a vote, you don't have a chance, or some.
That is cash pot.
Eh? Something like that.
Right, like a Supreme Bench's draw. No, sir. Yeah. But let's stay right with it there. Because I remember, you vote or you don't vote. It is what it is. It's not like there's a big difference between.
And you know, staying away is also a vote.
And you always point that out, which is very true.
It is.
Sorry, I never get Lloyd this morning because that's what you were saying. All right, Mr. Biggie, so this is how we're leaving you? Unless there's anything you want to update me on quickly. You're not going to Tokyo, are you?
Because no. That is for Robert Williams.
Okay. Oh, kiddo. I wondered, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were saying?
No, man. I'm fine. Nothing on the spectrum this morning for any debate.
Okay. Let's see what happens after September 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some of us might. Anyway. So this is where we say goodbye. We're making way for the big A inside of the Sunday Sunshine. Thank you for listening.